Hi again, everyone. I'm olliemathews. This is Societal Narcissism. This video is sponsored by contribution from Anonymous, and here's his story. Hi, Ollie. I would like to go by Anonymous on this posting. I just wanted to share some of my experiences growing up with my narc parents and how they treated me when I was a kid. I've been a longtime follower of your channel, and funny enough, we actually grew up one state from each other and are roughly the same age as well. So, another Gen X are probably raised by boomers. Growing up in my household in the late 70s and early 80s, my mother had a saying that children should be seen but not heard. Oh, Lord. Yep. I don't even know what that means. Seen but not heard. Like, no, you need to listen to your children. I'm sorry. But that's Gen X. Gen X was seen but not heard. So the slightest provocation, my mother would slap me in the face and mouth. Not lightly, like a slap, like slap the shit out of you. She did this probably 4 or 5 times a day and would often start arguments with this goal in mind. It was a never-ending torture. Busted lips, red cheeks were the norm for me as a kid. My mother was a master at splitting my lip from the inside. She turned her fucking wedding ring around, okay? And I can taste that ring hitting me in the mouth to this day, and then the blood, then the taste of blood. Oh. She slapped me so much that I actually started acting out in school and got in trouble for slapping a kid at recess if we had a disagreement. I thought it was just normal behavior. When the guidance counselor called home, of course, she had no idea why I was acting this way. Years later, as I grew up, I would just grab her hands and turn her around and push her away. But that would infuriate her even more. But I wasn't going to be beat on anymore. Same thing that happened to me as I got older, because see, I didn't fight back in school right away because I was younger than everyone else. Okay? And I didn't want to fight. I was afraid. My mother just made me afraid to fight back. So eventually, I think it was one of the teachers. There's this kid's got to learn how to protect himself. Or my father's like, he's got to learn how to protect himself. So they had to put me in Taekwondo. And I was good. And I got my black. Then I ended up getting my black belt by like 14, 15. I got my black belt in Taekwondo. Okay. And I trained hard, 5-6 days a week. The only day the dojo was closed was on Sundays. And the thing with it, and Charlene can attest to this, I can block. And not that Charlene hits me. She never hits me. It's never out of anger. But she'll try to grab, and it's just like my instinct. For anybody trying to grab me, touch me, like it's... If you ever watch It's Always Sunny, like with Mac. That's me. It's like I have eyes in the back of my head. So as I got older and I was training, okay, fighting every day, learning how to fight properly, learning how to see a punch, see something coming, watching the shoulder, watching the movement, it becomes second nature. So my mother would just would try with the slaps, and it didn't work anymore. I could just catch it with dead air. Boom. Just block her. And then you're accused of raising your hands. You raise your hands to me, you better keep your hands down. I'm not keeping my hands down. It's all instinct. It's all instinct at this point. I can't keep my hands down, nor am I. And then that would infuriate her even more. And then she'd come charging at you like a bull. She'd just bull rush. And I've said before, there was no knocking that woman out. None. She's like a machine coming at you, like a Terminator coming at you. She would also pull my hair out, yank out my hair by the handful. And her worst trick was to get me while I was not paying attention, sitting down with my back to her or preoccupied with homework, etc., and just grab a handful of hair. But as I got older, that really didn't work because at this point I was bigger than she was. Yet my mother couldn't sneak up on anyone because she was a bull. You hear her coming. You hear her coming every fucking time. You just had to deal with the bull rush and had to defend the attack. She would tell my father I was grabbing her hands or basically not letting her reprimand me. Yeah. He would come home from a hard day at his factory job. Neither one of them had any real education. It was like living with village idiots. Me cowering in my bedroom at 10 or so, waiting for him to come home, stomped down the hall like a caveman and knocked the crap out of me. He never gave me punishment in the traditional sense. He would just throw you a beating, knock you upside the head, wrestle you around with you, pin you to the ground, all while pummeling me. I can't imagine wrestling my own kid at 10 and me being a grown man. It's despicable. Of course. But they get off on it. They got off on the power. They were violent. They were degenerate. They were fucking dumb. In my early memories, my mother became convinced that I was hyperactive. Now to me, all kids are pretty much hyperactive because they're kids, and kids have a lot more energy than adults. So, of course, they're going to be hyperactive. But she became convinced I was out of control when I was probably 5 years old, and she would make me follow a diet stripped of no sugar, and so I couldn't have any candy. Exactly, you weren't allowed to be a kid. You were held, this is what I'm talking about GenX, held to an adult standard as a child, and at the same time never allowed to grow up. So you have to respect your mother, and you can't defend yourself, but you can't act like a kid either. That's why they would just throw us out of the house and let us run the streets. Feral generation. I couldn't have any kind of artificial flavors or colors. She convinced everybody in the family that it was for my own good. I was just too hard to deal with. Of course, now looking back in reflection, I know that this was just simple withholding of food and food control, which is a tried and true method of any Class A narcissist. This went on for years. As a kid, I would go to the roller rink every Friday night. It was the 80s and the roller rink was the place to be. Yeah, we had it too. We had Wallington skating ring, which was, 2 towns over, maybe like 2 miles. So we spent a lot of time you could ride bikes. You could ride your bike anywhere. We didn't care. The further, the better. This was one of the few ways I could get away from the house. When I was 10 or 11 years old, all the neighborhood kids would go to the bus stop, and there would be a bus that would take us to the roller rink, which was a town over about 10 or 15 miles away. I would walk there and wait with the other kids at the bus stop and chat and hang out with my friends waiting for the roller rink bus to come. One particular Friday, I walked there, and assuming that I was not going to be bothered by my mother, I accepted a piece of gum from one of my friends, and chewing gum and talking with my friends, here she comes driving up the road, and she sees me and stops, throws the car in park, damn near stripping out the transmission, screaming like a lunatic about me chewing gum. It's like they have this alarm that goes off in their head. It's like they just know when you're happy. They just had this alarm. He's happy right now. I got to go find him, humiliate him, and beat him in front of his friends. Jumps out of the car, runs up, smacks me in the mouth, totally humiliating me. Screams at me in front of my friends to spit out the gum, and then screams at me to get in the car and takes me home with her because I was grounded at that point. That was one of the humiliating experiences I had. She lived to humiliate me in front of my friends. Oh, they love it. They love it. My father loved it. My father loved humiliating me in front of people. My parents are so narcissistic and so into disco dancing. I guess they had disco fever, that they would have these crazy disco parties with all their friends. Looking back now, I am sure my brother and I were just inconvenient pains that were in the way of their swinger lifestyles. Yep, know what that's about. Know what that's about. They would push all the furniture in the living room against the wall so they could have the center floor of the room, and then they would be dancing, flinging themselves around while whirling and twirling to the music and disco parties, the music blaring into the early morning. And my brother and I both had to go to school. And even if it wasn't a school day, we had to be out of bed at 7 a.m. in the morning, dusting and cleaning on a Saturday. I remember many times as an 80s latchkey kid coming home alone. Don't we all? I'm sure a lot of others were latchkey kids growing up in the 80s, basically left to our own devices, thinking that there was no danger in the area. I don't know how that would happen today with kids not actually being watched, but nonetheless, we made it through to adulthood. I guess my point is that kids today would never make it with what we had to deal with. Oh, no, not these kids. Not these kids, no. One particular time I came home and the front screen door was locked, so I couldn't get in the front door because the screen door had no key. I went to get into the back door. It was a sliding glass door. You could kind of jimmy back and forth so it would go ahead and pull open. But my parents came home and accused me of kicking the screen door to where it was ruined. Oh, they just wanted a new screen door and needed somebody to blame it on. So not only did they have to probably need a new door, that's not good enough. They needed to blame you for breaking it. Now, I didn't do this, and I don't know who did. Probably they did it themselves, locking the screen door on purpose. But it was completely mangled, looking like someone had kicked it to hell and back. And I know for a fact I never did that. I knew to go to the sliding door immediately. Yeah, they did it themselves. They did it themselves. They needed a screen door, so they set up a scenario where they can blame you for something. Just a few of my experiences, and I will share again, but we'll keep it short on this one. Love the channel, Ollie. Keep up the good work exposing these hateful narcs. Anonymous. You know, again, I've said it before, I said it again. I'll say it again. GenX was held to an adult standard as children, and at the same time, never allowed to grow up. You have very similar parents to mine. Violent, degenerate, blame you for shit you didn't do, actually knowingly blame you for shit you didn't do, and actually did the shit they're blaming you for. All because they're probably pissed off they needed a new screen door and they just needed somebody to blame about over it. Here's an opportunity. Here's an opportunity to gain more control and to push him down further. It's sick. So, I hope that helps. Thank you so much for your contribution and story, Anonymous. I really appreciate it. Thank you to everybody watching. Please leave any opinions or advice in the comment section below. And again, if you want your story read on the channel, you have a topic you'd like me to cover, something you'd like to expose, you'd like to set up a Skype, a phone call, have a private video made, you'd like to sponsor a video like this for someone who needs help and can't afford it, or just make a contribution to the channel in general to keep it supported, growing, and successful, because this channel survives 100% on contributions from all of you. Without you guys, all this goes away. So if you like what you see here and you want to see more videos like this, you know what to do with either the Cash App, Zelle, PayPal, and email links in the description box below. Also, please like and share this video wherever you can. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't, and be sure to click the subscription bell to be notified of all my video uploads. Also, be sure to subscribe to both my Rumble channels. Follow me on Twitter and Telegram as well. I'm Ollie Matthews. This has been Societal Narcissism. Take care, everyone.